unless they want to take a bullet for you, Matt won't consider that a friend.
I've never said taking a bullet had any type of criteria.
I know, but you make a friend. You make friends such a loaded word. Like
I know. I heard your episode on Friends, and then I laughed because it took you 45 minutes to admit that we were friends. Towards the end of it, you're like, "Well, I guess Kris Gowen's my friend." It's like, and I was like, "Woo!"
She's 75% of a friend, maybe 80%, maybe.
Her left leg is my friend, but that's it.
Behold, trapped in a hellscape of their own invention, socially unaware old white men bound by the pretense of being fake lawyers yet knowing no law, no exquisite Latin terminology, they are inexplicably compelled to quibble over minutia, squabble over triflings, and bicker like those who value their backyards far too highly without even knowing the difference between an easement and an alleyway. At this very moment, you have entered the heart of the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker. Let's get started.
The Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker apologizes for the absence of Waspy Soda Pop and Ask Greg these past 2 weeks. Circumstances completely under our control prevented those appearances. They will return next week. Part 2 of the Orchestra of Evil and Emptiness is brought to you by SafeMart. Safety while shopping, safety while eating, safety while buying aspirin. SafeMart. Be safe.
At SafeMart, it's a SafeMart. Come to SafeMart and be safe.
And this is the second half of this show.
Matt, you're like that. Matt sings every song in his voice. Maybe it will alter it slightly.
Right. But you don't try to sound like the artist usually.
No, I do. I fail. But I always, if I'm saying Bob Seger, I'm going to be like, like a rock.
Right, but that's how you sound normally.
But
I know, but
I'll do that, Greg. I will try to sound a little bit like I mean, I'm not going to imitate their voice per se, but I'm going to try and get the voice. Like if I sing something from The Who, I'm trying to emulate Roger Daltrey. If I'm singing something from Dio, I'm going to try.
It all sounds like you, though.
I know, but that's because it's generally in my register, like my vocal register. So,
but I can go from Bob Seger doing that badly, but then when I do the Buzzcocks, I'm like, ever fallen in love with someone? Ever fallen in love? Like I try to.
Well, that's just you going into a higher register of your own voice.
I know. I try to, but I mean, I do a snottier. Like I totally try to change my voice, because I sing women's songs a lot, and I'll try to even get my voice, which is hard to believe, because I fail to sound like a woman. Like I sing Wanda Jackson, and I sing.
Then why don't you just try to sing it like you? Right? Like, isn't that
the fact is he does sound like him, so it doesn't matter.
Right. That's why you might as well just do that.
It doesn't. No, but it doesn't change much. But it does change a lot. Like if I sing the Proclaimers, I'll be like.
Well, it's kind of like if you're trying to learn a foreign language, the best way to speak it without an American accent per se, is to use a stereotypical accent that you hear like on TV. Like if you're going to learn German, you do it in like a Colonel Klink way if you're speaking German to somebody else as an American. And the only reason I'm saying this without basically sounding like I'm some kind of weird American is the fact that I did that to a German. They were trying to teach me how to say "Where's the bathroom," which is I can't even remember. It's like "Wo ist das Witze." Witze meaning like water closet, so WC. Anyway, so "Wo ist das Witze?" I think I just added Spanish in there, so that's my German Spanish version of that. And they went, and the guy said, he goes, "That sounded like perfect German. That was like no accent." And I'm like, I was doing a Colonel Klink, and this is cracking me up. So, and I tried that with Spanish words too, with Spanish speakers. So I can't think of
that worked in Italy too. You're totally right. Like when I did fucking the pizza guy from The Simpsons, it's like. Is it like "me dispatche"? And they'd be like, "What?" I'd be like, "Me dispatche." I would do this,
and I realized why it works. It's because that's how we interpret the way they speak to us. So that it must be an inflection in the cadence of people from those particular nationalities, and that's why it makes it easier for them to understand us if we speak with that. Even though we think we're making fun of them, in reality, we're just kind of sounding like them in a weird way. You know,
I think I was making fun of him. I just thought I was trying to sound like him.
Right, but the stereotypical way of sounding like them from what we hear of people of that nationality saying that in our country. Well, maybe it's just because you're a nicer person than me, Greg, and maybe I am actually trying to make fun of them or something.
Well, you have a lot of beef with the Germans as a Jew. You have every right to make fun of them.
I don't personally have a beef with current Germans, except for the ones who are still Nazis. So
remember in the 80s when all the newscasters with total white accents would be like, today Ronald Reagan sent troops to Nicaragua. they would all like overpronounce. Like they'd totally be saying everything all like American English, and then it'd be like in El Salvador. You don't remember that?
no,
That was a thing?
They do that on NPR.
it still happens now,
too.
Greg. That's not
Right.
just like back in the 90s.
No, that's what it started though. It was all these guys would be like, and they'd overdo it.
To get off on a completely different tangent, but that's related to that, what I hate is people saying the word homage as homage. That's just the problem I have these days.
Is it both equally good or
No, homage
correct?
is not a fucking word. So
It's not.
no, it's just homage.
It's not a different pronunciation.
No,
like a
people started
potato
pronouncing it
pie?
because they're like thinking it's a French word, and so they think that's how it should be pronounced, and so some, I don't know, person along the line decided that they should say homage,
I
whereas
don't know.
That's
If I
right.
should ask somebody from Montreal, would they say homage or would they say homage?
well, I mean, if they're actually French, then
Well,
yeah, but it's not. I don't think
They're
it's a
Frenchy
French,
Canadians.
I don't think it's a French word though.
So is it fromage then?
Well, fromage
Is
is the French
actually-
word for
right.
cheese,
Is fromage?
right?
Right.
And the only reason I know that is from the Steve Martin routine from back when I was a kid, where he was like,
Nothing like getting your
"Omelette
language
du
skills from Steve Martin.
fromage." Exactly. So it's cheese omelet. That's what I remember from Steve
There you go.
Martin.
Yeah.
And I
Well, there's
learned that without-
pronunciation things here, right? So like I don't know,
Sure.
like that's where I don't know what's happening. I still have a pretty strong American accent, but there's some words that I sound more like I'm from Ontario.
Have you been saying a boot a lot?
I don't say about very
boot?
like that, but no, and they don't
You
say
will.
that here. They don't do a boot here. That's
Yeah.
more Eastern Canada, like the
Eastern?
Newfies,
Oh,
like
okay.
the Newfies.
The Newfies.
Oh, the Newfies.
Damn
the Newfies.
Newfies. What do
Oh
they
my
call
God, there
people
were
from
some
Nova
Newfies
Scotia?
at
Are
the
they
bar
Newfies?
on There was some Newfies at the bar at the karaoke where I was on Saturday, and they were just nuts. They
So
sang a bunch of bare
who-
naked ladies.
So people who
It's
don't know
just
what
add
she's
the
talking
stereotype.
about, Newfies are people from Newfoundland,
Yeah.
in Canada. Those who are listening, the three people who might be listening to us,
Yeah.
you
Right.
know, over the last
Yeah.
week. I'm
Right.
surprised that we're not getting any comments from anybody on YouTube today. We have 2 people watching, so it's probably the 2 guys from North Dakota. Hey,
I
to
did
the-
post on Facebook that I was going, and if they're from Team Arkansas, they might get mad at me now. But I love them. I do.
Hello, Team Arkansas. Welcome.
I do. I love the people. I loved. They were the night. Like, I'm not just saying this now. Like, they were honestly, when I went to Arkansas to sing, they threw a party for me.
Wow.
I had communicated with one of the people there, Anthony, and he when I met him, like he was just like the most genuine, nice person, and we like gave each other a big hug, and it had been like we were friends for a really long time. And I met other people there that I keep in touch with still and really like, and they're good
And
humans.
karaoke is interesting in that way. It
It's
just
really good
creates
humans.
these relationships that you wouldn't normally have,
Right.
and with people that you wouldn't normally have a relationship with. you
Right.
know?
And I'm still, like I said, I'm still in touch with some of them. And yeah, these are not people that I would probably be friends with if we were all in Portland together. But there was something about that night and then seeing them later in competitions, and they're just, yeah, I don't have good words except for they're just good people, and they
That's-
and I
Those
love
words
it.
are fine to use.
Yeah.
You're allowed to use those words. We will
Try to be
accept
a little bit
those.
more creative, but yeah.
We're
they're
not
lovely.
expecting a lot of creativity here. This is all,
It's all karaoke. It's nothing original anyway.
exactly. We're actually just reading off of cue cards on this particular show.
Right.
Podcasting is like journalism, like karaoke is to professional singing.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It
If
is.
I
it
could see
feels
that.
good, do it.
Yeah.
What are you trying
Yeah.
to say, Greg?
That we're like karaoke.
Hey, Greg,
like
when
the
was the
drunken
first
guy.
time you met Kris? How did you guys become friends, Greg?
Through you. Your show.
Yeah.
Matt was
Well, no,
doing the
Kris
show,
said
and
that
he
she
said,
knew you before she knew
Well,
me.
I met
What?
Greg before because I had sung at Bear Paw. But that's one of
Oh.
those
Oh, I
cases
don't
where, like,
remember.
I will know Greg because he's the KJ, but Greg won't know me because I'm just some lowly singer that's singing in the bar.
Yeah, some peon. I'm like, yeah,
I have
get it.
never considered any of my singers to be lowly or peons.
Oh,
So
they all are to me.
they aren't
Right.
to me.
I'm the king of karaoke when I'm on up there.
For me,
I just
nearly
remember-
every singer is important except for the ones that annoy the crap out of me. But mostly everyone is important to me.
You know, I have a ring when I do KJ, and they have to kiss it before they get to sing. If you don't kiss the ring,
It's
you
your
don't get to
bathtub
sing.
ring, isn't it?
Yeah.
You bring them to your apartment. They're
No,
like,
but the time I
kiss
remember
that ring.
meeting Chris was specifically, you told me, she said, hey, remember I told you about that woman who wrote a book about singing? And you were
Oh
sitting,
yeah,
you were sitting with your friend, this really cool woman. I don't know.
Mel. I was
That
sitting
was
with Mel.
Mel. At the time, I
was
don't
Mel.
remember because, you know, I just met you. And
Yeah.
you guys were so nice to me because it was that Matt was at this bar. Matt had this tendency until recently to always get KJ jobs at the shittiest bar in town where all the halfway house people hung out and
Yeah,
just out of jail, just out of rehab would sing, and homeless people. I don't know why, because Matt's like a really good KJ. He's got amazing songs, great sound. but
because
you'd
they're
always
willing
get
to
these-
pay me, Greg. That's why. They're
So I
willing to
would
pay
go
me.
to
That's why I
follow-
work there.
I'd follow Matt and I'd have to hang out with all these, I'm sorry, fucking degenerates. And so I don't have many friends there. And then you and Mel totally would just like sit down and we chatted. It was great talking to you. And I was just like, I like this, you know, these people. And
Yeah.
I liked you right off the bat. I was like, wow, she's really smart. She's not a typical Area 51.
Area 52. At
Yeah,
the time.
it
But
was,
she- I
that
don't
was
think
that was
that's it.
spot 79
I
that
was
we
going
were
to
at.
say, yeah.
You're right,
I,
spot
don't,
79.
I didn't think she had ever gone to Area 52.
No, I know, yeah.
remember seeing on Facebook you were about to do your journey, and I remember commenting on it on
Yeah.
Facebook.
And I
Um,
thought you were just too far away. That was
Okay.
essentially why I remember you commenting like, "Oh, you should come to one of my shows before you do."
Yeah.
And then I looked them up, and they were far. Like
Yeah.
one was in Milwaukee, and one was, and I was like,
Probably
I'm gonna.
you were in North Portland at the time
Yeah.
too, so
So yeah, so I was like, that was
and we connected. It was at a charity event in
for,
North
s-
Portland.
for science talk.
Right. And it was kind of a fluke that I got that gig. I can't even remember how I got it. But the person who was putting on the show, I think, had reached out to either me or to the Oregon Karaoke Host Group or something. And one of the benefits of me being the moderator for the Oregon Karaoke Host Group is that a lot of people will contact me right off the bat to see if there's somebody available to do a gig. And so I always get first dibs.
Right.
like
Nice.
if I want it. So it kind of works out. But anyway, and I wound up going there, and it was you were like one of the guest presenters or something like that to this particular charity.
Yeah, what
or-
was going on? Well, so I am still, so back to Renaissance, whatever. I'm still on the board of Make You Think, which is Oregon, mostly Oregon based, but you know, we went virtual like everybody else had
Uh-huh.
to do during COVID,
Right.
which hosted Science on Tap and still hosts Science on Tap in Oregon. And so as a Science on Tap representative, I went there to sort of check out and support the Science Talk fundraiser.
Right.
That's what I went there, and I tried to sing science songs. I think I sang.
Blinded me with science.
Well, no, because that was already, someone already did that. I did I think I did Major Tom, like you know,
Yeah.
from Peter Schilling.
Oh,
What about
Science E.
you could have done Bloodhound Gang. Do it like on the Discovery Channel.
Oh
right.
yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah, that would have gone over well with the children that were there.
That's science.
It is science.
Biology, basic biology.
It's
I
basic.
like themes. Themes are kind of fun to do.
Yeah,
But
those are
yeah,
fun.
like so then yeah, I liked Matt, and then I was like, well, Matt's really cool. Now I will drive out farther to go to see, you know, go to your shows. And like I don't have a car here. I rely on mass transit here in Toronto because being in a big city with a car is a pain in the ass. And yeah, it's the same idea. So there I met this KJ. I like the show he runs. He's a really good person. So then I just follow his shows around, right? Like that's how that just sort of goes.
Yeah, kind of how it happens. It's like I don't really have guys that I follow around anymore. I don't really get out much anymore. It's
Wow.
you know, after Greg became such a shut-in, I don't really have anybody to go to places with. And you know, Jen moved to Hawaii, and she was always forcing us to go places. So
And Anne moved.
and Ann moved, right?
Oh, Anne moved?
Ann moved. Ann's in Florida
Long
now.
time ago.
And Corey
Oh,
moved.
Florida.
Yeah, and Corey moved to Rhode Island, so he was like our other person that we would hang out with. So
Well, and also you have the private room stuff, which I don't know if you go to, like if the two of you go or not, but like that access as well. And so if you have friends to go to private rooms with, then that can be fun and it's a different sort of thing. But I don't have any friends, and so I have one friend.
Hey,
two
well,
friends. I
that's
have
like
two
me.
friends.
I don't have friends either.
Well, I have
Chris,
in Toronto. I have two
got it.
friends in Toronto.
Gotcha.
And one does not sing at all, and the other one does come out Thursday nights with me too.
That's like one more friend than I have in Portland, so you're already doing better than me.
Well, I mean, our definitions of friends, like these are two
Yeah.
people who I actively enjoy hanging out with, and I talk to. No, they're my friends. What am I talking about? They're totally my friends. We talk about serious things. We talk about not serious things. We do things we like together. We're friends.
I'm just saying,
but
you're
say,
obviously more gregarious than me.
Unless they want to take a bullet for you, Matt won't consider that a friend.
I've never said taking a bullet had any type of criteria.
I know, but you make a friend. You make friends such a loaded word. Like
I know. I heard your episode on Friends, and then I laughed because it took you 45 minutes to admit that we were friends. Towards the end of it, you're like, "Well, I guess Kris Gowen's my friend." It's like, and I was like, "Woo!"
She's 75% of a friend, maybe 80%, maybe.
Her left leg is my friend, but that's it.
Yeah. Now that she moved, she just like lost a few percentage points.
Well, the difference I think with me is just that I was infected by an old girlfriend from college, and we went over this in that friend episode too, where I thought everybody was my friend, and she was like, no, you just have acquaintances, you don't have friends. And I'm like, oh, I started thinking like, well, what does it actually mean for someone to be a friend?
Also, when you say you're infected by your girlfriend, that also tends to mean something pretty different.
I think that was the scabies, but that's beside the point. Anyway, going back to the concept of me having friends. So I used to just say everybody was like a friend who she thought was just more like an acquaintance. And so I've had to like come to terms with the whole idea of what is not a friend. There's lots of people that I get along with. I have lots of what I guess would be called friendly acquaintances, but I would really.
And also you're going to take your ex-girlfriend's definition of a friend, and I mean, unless I guess it resonates with you.
Well, I think it was just at the time I didn't know any better. Well, growing up as a Navy brat, it became second nature to me to become friendly with people pretty quick. It's like I can get along with people pretty fast. And I don't know if other Navy brats or other military brats have that same quality or not. But at least for me, that's what I learned as kind of a way of surviving in new environments. It's like I would just joke around people, and I would get along with some people, and we would hang out, and I guess that's what a friend is really. But for the most part, nearly anybody who comes into my sphere, I'll be willing to do things for them. I'm like, whether or not they've done anything for me, I generally have goodwill towards people, and maybe that's why I don't call people friends per se in the same way, because I'm friendly to most people. Unless they show me some reason not to be.
Well, and also like the fact that you do things for people and don't expect anything in return, that is a good definition of, I mean, as long as you're not being manipulated or used, right? Like that's friendship. Because if you're expecting something in return, then it's transactional, right? Like there's sort of that idea.
I'd stop like expecting things from people, because I realized like I didn't want to have expectations for people. It's like I would rather just do stuff for people and not really expect anything back from them, except for Greg. Greg, I expect a lot back from him.
I was going to say, what does Greg owe you?
Does not give it. He doesn't give it at all.
Quid pro quos. But yeah, it's very one-sided. Matt like does all these nice things for me, and then every now and then I barely do anything nice for you. Maybe I'll buy you a drink, even though you just bought me 10 drinks the past month. Like, hey man, I got this round.
Right.
And then I feel bad that he's buying it too. I'm like, no. I'm like, it's like I have the wherewithal. I'm like, I don't really want to make somebody who's not really, who it would be harmful to them to do it. I'm like, you don't have to. It's okay. I'm like I don't expect anything from you.
Yeah, I did that at a karaoke night the other night, where the people I was sitting at the table with, who I've known for the few weeks that we've been able to karaoke, and they each had one drink, and it was crowded, the bar was whatever, we were all closing out, and I just said, just put it all on my tab, right? It wasn't a big deal, it was convenient, it was whatever, I have a job, I'm fine. Right. And one of the guys got pretty upset. He was like, don't do that. And so we hauled the server back and took his drink off my tab, which I felt bad and I wasn't trying to be overly nice. It was, if anything, it was just sort of convenience and just like, whatever, don't worry about it. You know, he had a drink, and that backfired. I don't know if he's still gonna be like friendly and nice to me anymore, because he was actually pissed off, and I was like, ooh.
It's probably he's got some issues, you know.
And I get it.
Some trauma
It was a boundary
with receipts.
Whatever. But I mean, so like I overstepped a boundary of his, and I said I was sorry, and I didn't insist. I wasn't I didn't sit there and say, oh, come on, whatever, or too late. I was like, all right, let's see if we can fix it. And we did. And
the proper handling to that would have been kick him in the shins. They shut the fuck up. I'm buying it, you son of a bitch. That would have been the appropriate handling.
Yes.
And then he would have been okay with it.
Very appropriate.
Exactly. That's how I do it. People like have an issue with me.
Fucking Ann Landers over here. Man Landers.
Oh my God. There's your next
Man
thing.
Landers.
Like sometimes you have your segments.
Yes.
You can do a Man Landers advice.
Waspy Soda Pop is on a sabbatical today for the karaoke show.
Okay.
So
that we've talked sort of about karaoke, but But yeah, no, I think you should do Man Landers. I think that would be very, very successful about that advice.
It's actually a funny line. Honestly, I was literally thinking about starting like another new segment today, which had to do with like romantic advice that I would give.
Right.
So that's why I find it very funny that you would say that. But the other thing was I was thinking about doing it with a pirate accent and calling it like Peg Leg Arnold or something like that was going to be the... That was what was running through my head today.
The funniest thing is you giving romantic advice. The man with a heart smaller than mine.
Well, he and his wife are happy, right?
Yeah, he lucked out.
Right, but isn't that pretty much all of the romance and finding somebody? There's a lot of luck involved.
But some people make it harder than others.
That's true. I don't make things easy to love me. Yeah, that's very true.
Got it.
I'm an evil man.
Matt, before he married Lavana, he made her memorize the lineup of the whole National Football League.
What?
I was doing it.
I like how that also makes no sense, which is great.
Diner?
Yeah, because I talk about sports constantly.
Remember that movie Diner where the guy was not going to marry his wife?
Yeah. I should know that. Diner was like my old stomping grounds, Baltimore.
She actually was like stomping. She was actually cramming. Like, I have to learn or he won't marry me.
There's like 100-question trivia list that they had to learn for the movie Diner, right? The fiance had to learn. Yeah, and if she didn't know it all, he wouldn't marry her.
Yeah, which is she would have had enough self-esteem to be like, fuck you.
Right, exactly. I'm like, maybe that's why, there's many reasons why I'm single, but that is one of them, is that I don't put up with any of that bullshit. The main one being is I actually enjoy being single. That's actually the main reason I'm single.
But also Kris would be the one making the potential spouse learn the sports trivia.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you were to marry Greg, Kris, what would you make Greg learn to be able to be married to you?
Basic hygiene.
To be a non-smoker.
Yeah.
That is what I would make him do.
Simple eating, good healthy.
So the first thing is that you have to quit smoking. All right, so that's a maybe easy one.
That's like a pretty big one for poor Greg, who's pretty addicted to nicotine. But that would be
But what would he have to learn, though? What would be the educational regimen he would have to go through to be able to be married to you? He would have learned.
To learn how to not be addicted to nicotine.
No sports.
That's it. That's all it would take. All it would take.
No, because I don't care. I don't care if somebody. So people that I date don't have to be huge karaoke fans. They don't have to like hockey. They don't have to. That's fine. You don't have to like all this. I love hockey.
Oh, okay.
I'm the same way.
I have to be careful. I love hockey relative to many people in Portland. I cannot actually call myself a hockey fan here.
In Canada, right.
It doesn't really work.
They're like, oh yeah, so when did so-and-so score this number? What year was that?
Right, exactly. Oh my God. So when I was in Boston, this is going to digress, but it was pretty funny. So I'm listening to talk about sports fans. I remember this radio show. And the guy's like, remember that game 5 years ago and the count was 3-2 and the ref had been like, or the umpire had been calling balls in this strike zone the whole night and blah, 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 blah. I thought that pitch was outside. What about you? And like like, Jesus Christ.
Well, it was.
And then the host is like, oh, well, if you recall, blah. I'm like, what? Like they were actually having a conversation about a pitch that happened 5 years ago. It was.
They all knew.
They all knew. That is not my that is not the level of sports fandom that I have. But I do listen to sports radio, and I do
Welcome to Masterpiece Theater.
I know. Welcome to the most boring wall of portraits. You could possibly this wall and the lighting. Like, what is? It's so sad.
I'm being the scream.
There you go.
It's a very austere setting. That's true.
It's so sad.
Matt,
imagine this being the art gallery you'd go to. You're like, really?
And you guys do the characters from Guernica.
From what?
Like,
God.
Kind of.
Make
the characters from what?
Right, and like look up and distort it, and like.
I didn't hear what characters you
Guernica.
said. Oh, I'm not familiar with that. I've heard the
Picasso,
name, but
it's a famous one where everyone, typical Picasso style, but it's like about the Spanish Civil War, Yeah. So it's very violent.
I never really studied a lot of Picasso, so
I did a whole course on Picasso in college. I don't know. I mean, I was stoned the whole time, but I got an A.
I just remember going to a gallery in downtown Portland where they had a lot of Picasso paintings, and I was like, none of it was Cubism. It was all like his early stuff, and I'm like, I'm very confused. I'm like, this
his
is
blue
Picasso?
Period.
Yeah, well, whatever.
When he was more of a realist.
Yeah,
I remember that. And
it was like more hand-drawn things. But anyway, so that's the extent of my Picasso data.
During his blues period, they called him Blind Lemon Picasso. That was his blues period. Blind Lemon Picasso's in town doing a gallery.
Blind Lemon is also his classic rock period, I think.
Blind Melon. I don't know if they're classic rock, man. I would never call them classic rock.
Well, they do now.
Because
now
the three songs that were hits for them are considered classic.
And now they're on like next to Led Zeppelin and Foghat on the oldie station. The
exactly.
Yes, that is correct.
And I was thinking about that. We've been doing karaoke for 30 years.
I know.
Ouch.
I guess that's kind of true, even though I was about to say I haven't, but then I realized that I did that karaoke machine party.
Okay, so I will speak for myself. I've been doing karaoke for almost 30 years.
I have, yeah. Pretty much early 90s, I think was the first time I went. And I'd like to tell a story, though. This is weird because how songs come and go. I
always like how you preface about telling a story that you'd like to tell a story as opposed to just telling the story.
Yes.
I like that, too. That's one of my best features.
But let me give you a preamble. So 30 years ago.
For a while, Love Shack was just like #1 karaoke song. I think it's faded away finally. I don't hear it as often. But I remember way before it became the standard, I only knew this song because I had a VHS copy of the video of Total Eclipse of the Heart, which is one of the best rock videos ever made. It's like an epic art film in 5 minutes. And
I'm going to disagree with you, but go ahead.
That was my go-to song. When I started doing karaoke, I know people are like, oh, wow, great. Totally Comes the Heart after you that every week. Nobody fucking sang that song in the early 90s. It was just like, but I genuinely love the song. I wasn't goofing on it like, oh, I'm a dude singing Bonnie Tyler. But it was so weird how like things come and go and you never know. Like, and Brandy, You're a Fine Girl, I was singing that 20 years ago, but then Guardians of the Galaxy came out, and now everyone wants to sing it. So things come and go. And
I gotta disagree because Brandy was sung at karaoke often. Before that movie.
No, it was, but then all of a sudden it's like every 21-year-old kid every night wants to sing it. Like it's like now.
Yeah, and that's what I've realized too is like why. So part of this karaoke family that I have is a bunch of kids in their late 20s or 30. Like I actually sat at a table at this kid's 30th birthday and I almost vomited because of this. And I'm just like, oh my God, they're so young, but they're again, good peoples. They're lovely. Yeah. And I'm like, why do they always sing 80s in there? I mean, ABBA, they sing a lot of ABBA because we've got Mamma Mia stuff going on. And I realized it's like, because their parents listened to this.
Yeah.
They didn't grow up with it. This is the stuff their parents listened to, and now they are digging it.
But my parents listened to like really lame, like 50s, like shit that would be on Lawrence Welk, like my dad listened to lots of crazy shit, but he also grew up just listening to Three Coins in the Fountain or
Right.
like they're those standard songs. I didn't have any ears to sing those because they liked them. I wanted to sing my music. I wanted to sing Kiss or whatever song I grew up singing. But I wanted to say this about being in karaoke is that we're the first generation that can actually say with clarity and veracity that our music was better when we were young. Every generation has said that for hundreds of years. Music was better in my day. What is this modern stuff? It sounds like noise. But the fact that young kids all they want to do is sing our music. All I have at my bar where I work, pretty much under 30. None of them want to sing like Lady Gaga. They don't want to sing Lizzo. They want to sing fucking Styx. They want to sing Supertramp. They want to sing Queen. All the songs from my childhood. So it's almost like we're the first generation that can say, maybe songs were better when we were kids.
As defined by what they sing in karaoke is the definition of better songs.
Don't want to sing even the kids don't want to sing their songs, some from their generation.
I'm going to have to disagree with you there, Greg. So I substituted at Suki's, which is a karaoke bar in Portland, Oregon, just a week or two ago. And I bought more songs that weekend than I'd bought at bars over the course of a couple of months.
I'm surprised because I've been to Suki's and everyone there sings fucking 80s songs.
I had 2 Doja Cat songs I had to buy. I had to buy something from some guy named Trey Lewis. I had to buy a Coldplay song that I'd never heard of before. And a bunch of other songs that people wanted, and I was happy. I was like, oh, good. I'm getting to hear what people are interested in.
Yeah.
And I mean, for me, I actually enjoy buying new tracks because it gets me to start to understand like what is something that's going to be happening soon. Like what is it that people are going to be wanting to have? Maybe because that kind of happened with Adele about 10 years ago. Like Adele started getting popular, and I wanted buying a bunch of Adele songs, and so she became, and now she's 10 years into a career, Then there's Billie Eilish, who's very popular now. Lizzo, you had mentioned. I had a bunch of people singing Lizzo, not last weekend, but in the, before pandemic.
Yeah, I sing some Billie Eilish and Sia, I guess. I mean, she's kind of recent-ish. I mean, compared to the 80s stuff and everything.
Didn't Sia get canceled or something? Like because of
what you do
on something?
I try not to pay attention.
You try not to pay attention to Sia?
No, to there are certain people I try, like, I mean, if it's overt and super horrible, I'll be like, all right, fine. But there's like an R. Kelly level, I will, like try to avoid.
Oh, yeah.
But certain other people, I'm like, oh, I might give them a pass because I really like singing them or whatever. It's hard.
I like how Greg was able to get off of the ski lift somehow. He
fell off.
And
he chased his blackberry brandy down the slope.
Then his hand reappeared. So I'm going to have to change the view here since Greg is probably in the bathroom more than likely.
Yeah, probably. So maybe. Yep. There you go. So now we can see that
we're looking at the ceiling.
He's there.
I
mean, I think the here, because Toronto is much more ethnically and racially diverse. Ty Chidlow, who's the person that I hang out with here, he also will, like you, will buy a song if he doesn't have it. And oftentimes he's buying songs in other languages, which is, I think, pretty cool. So he expands his library that way.
Could you ask him where he buys his music from? Because I'd like to find new places where you can buy karaoke from, because there's a lot of manufacturers that have disappeared. And there was a big one in Canada for a while, and they got like majorly sued by Sony and put out of business.
Yeah, I'll try to remember to ask him where he goes. I thought the one that my vocal coach tells me to look at is karaoke version, karaoke-version. Isn't that?
Oh yeah, that's a French company.
Okay, I think that's the one that she's just like looks at. I also have a friend who gets a lot of discs and stuff too, who lives in Tennessee.
Oh,
and ask her.
They're still getting discs. Wow. So
Really hear she'll get that. Well, she'll be sometimes, like, again, with competition, you want the physical, because you want in competition too. Again, like, you want to make sure it's the actual track you've been practicing to.
Yeah.
right? So there's that level of seriousness. Like whereas like there's certain tracks like that I'll sing in a bar, and I never know which one I'm gonna get. Like it's you just go, oh, I'll put up Heart of Glass by Blondie, and there's like a million tracks of that, and you just never know which one you're gonna get, and that's fine.
One of them is the Casio keyboard.
Oh god, yeah, some of them do look like sound that.
Some are bad. That's definitely. I have plenty of crappy karaoke tracks from a couple of different.
And you warn people. It's really nice. Like you'll say, okay, this like I've done that with an obscure song. You're like, this song, it's gonna probably be a very bad track. And I'm like, I don't care. It's fine.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me know.
Things I just discovered a few weeks ago. There's like this slow "Fly Me to the Moon" by Frank Sinatra. I think it was in a movie soundtrack recently because a lot of kids want to sing "Fly Me to the Moon" for some reason.
Is it "Fly Me to the Moon" on the flamingo that lives outside your apartment, Greg?
Well, the one that ate, he doesn't live here any longer. But "Fly Me to the Moon," there's this weird, like it's almost like Elvis's Blue Moon compared to the Marcel. So it's just like ding, 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 ding. It's really slow. Fly me to the moon. Like it's really mellow. And I guess that was an alternate version yet. So people get annoyed. I don't know which tracks are which. It doesn't tell me. So I just have to be like, sorry. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it should tell you the manufacturer, right?
No. I have numbers. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it will say MH or SF. But then a lot of actually the best ones, which always turn out to be like Zoom or what's the one that was suing everyone?
Sound Choice.
Sound Choice.
Thanks. That made the best tracks.
I'm going to test you, Greg. So what does MH stand for?
Mega hits.
Nope. What does SF stand for?
Sunfly.
All right. I knew you would know that one. MH is monster hits.
Yeah, monster. Yeah.
Do you know what MM is?
I always forget.
Music Maestro.
Oh yeah,
that's one that has good Elvis tracks, but the other stuff tends to be.
Presley or Costello?
I don't think Music Maestro has any Costello.
There are definitely ones though. I will request the song, and then something comes up, and I'm like, uh-oh. And there's this one I don't know which the manufacturer is, but it's a blue screen with very primitive font, like it's like a weird, like a lighter blue color.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know you're.
And I'm like, as soon as it's that, I'm like, this is gonna suck. And the worst is when it's not in the right key. Then I get lost. I have to admit.
Oh, they even do that?
Oh yeah, like the song will just be in the wrong key.
Well, the worst of the worst is OZ. OZ is probably the worst of the manufacturers because it's not really a professional manufacturer. I think it was just some guy in the Philippines in his basement made all these tracks together on like a Casio keyboard. And so that's where a lot of the bad ones are. But Music Maestro has a lot of bad ones, but there's one called Backstage, and there's another one, Sound Images, and they kind of do things together that generally the music sucks. And not always. Sometimes there have been some good ones there. Another bad one is Honky Cat.
Oh, I don't know that.
Has more obscure tracks.
Yeah.
That nobody else has, but generally the music just is bad on the Honky Cat.
I like it when you get the ones that are done in I'm guessing Japan, but you get a weird video with it with a bunch of white people, and like the songs have like the video has nothing to do with what the song's about.
More than likely, those are the Pioneer laser discs.
Yeah, the laser discs, and the videos always have it's always just like two attractive people like looking at each other on a beach.
Yeah.
For 3 minutes, or like walking through a city. They're like the dullest.
Yeah.
And I was in New York over Christmas. I went to Koreatown. Every karaoke, if you're in a karaoke, Koreatown is like fucking Mecca. The whole town, this 8-block area is like 50 karaoke bars, and it's all Laserdisc. They all use the old Laserdiscs with the videos. I don't know why, because they're very nice bars, very fancy. And I happen to be with a friend of my sister's who's probably 4 years older than me. Mm-hmm. And she picked some songs. She was in some of those videos. She was one of those actors.
What?
Oh, that's awesome.
That's really kind of cool.
Sorry, Matt, you know Rosie?
Rosie was in those videos?
Yes, she showed us like 2 or 3. And
wait, like, how did she did you get the story of how she got into those videos?
Yeah, it was almost like porn, like some guy walks down the street and says, hey, you're pretty. Want to be in a video? You want to make $20 for an hour's work? And people would do it, like college kids that hang around like college campuses.
So
I'd be like, hey.
she never met Rosie during the pandemic. I was running online karaoke,
Right.
and Rosie was a friend of Greg's and the sisters from New York who would occasionally come onto the show. I had no idea she was a celebrity.
I
Nice.
I know her for like, and I met her in New York, like in person, and sung karaoke with her. She never brought it up. But I was fascinated by watching these videos again. Why did they ever feel the need that was necessary to sing karaoke? Oh,
I don't
we have
know.
to make a video. We have
Maybe
to
it
have
was something
two
out of
attractive
Japan.
people.
You know?
I know, but it's so weird. Like, did anyone care? Did
But it was
anyone
Pioneer. Pioneer is an American company, I believe.
Well,
So-
but some of these aren't Pioneer. Like, so when I was in South Korea and we'd go to a noribong, right? So a karaoke, a private room karaoke there. And I have a screenshot of it, or not a screenshot. I took a picture of it on my phone, but I sang George Michael's "Faith," and I shit you not, it was because you got to have faith, and it's a picture of a guy eating his gun.
Eating his. You say eating his gun as in suicide, or just eating his gun?
No.
Like he's actually chewing on it.
No, as in suicide.
Oh, okay. Well, I
They
guess you
show
gotta have
it's like
faith.
because so the words are like you got to have faith, and there's this guy about to pull the trigger. You don't see the pulling the trigger
You
part,
gotta have faith that it's not gonna go off in his mouth.
or you have to have faith because you don't know like hopefully you're gonna go upstairs instead of downstairs. Like I don't know, but it was just like what the fuck? Oh my god! And so yeah, I took a picture of
if
that.
you grew up Catholic, you're
That
gonna
takes
go-
a turn.
No matter how much you deserve to commit suicide, or
I don't know. It would like that was so bizarre. So these are not Pioneer discs.
I don't know
And
if the Jesuits got to that manufacturer, Greg.
they might have. But you know the ones that also like don't have videos, but they have like some like during the instrumental break they'll have some weird graphic,
Yeah,
Atari, or maybe a
floating
little more than-
words.
Sorry, I once was in Tucson at that hotel lounge, that motel lounge where I went like every week, and it was some song, innocuous song, like I don't know, Olivia Newton-John or something. And then during the instrumental break, it was like 4 brown shirts. They looked just like brown shirt Nazis, like holding steins at a bar, like wearing the weird uniforms.
I sing a lot of Olivia Newton-John, and I do not know that track, and now I
It was
really
probably
want to.
something else. It was. I'm just saying it was
Oh,
a
okay.
innocuous pop song that had nothing to do with politics or anything. And there was like this weird image of these brown shirts drinking beer.
What?
I was like, why?
Oh, speaking of weird karaoke brands, there's the one that I've only seen at Baby Ketten. That is, I can't remember what the thing is, but the slogan is "It's the tits."
That is
Yeah.
That's pants karaoke. That's like that's a homegrown manufacturer.
And you can find them on YouTube, and you can actually sing their songs. They've got a lot of great.
It's
shit.
the tits. I love that. It makes me so happy every time I see the
I just don't understand why a slogan for something called pants karaoke
Right.
is "It's the tits."
right,
I've never.
but
been
it
on
doesn't.
one.
It's the tits with an
It should
exclamation
be
point.
like it's the camel toe or
It's
it's the ball sack.
Is that what it should be, Greg?
Should be, yes. In a just world, it would be. What kind of world do we live in?
Maybe it was shortened from "It's the testicles," and it became "It's the tits."
Could be.
Or they were overalls, so it could have, it's like not just the pants; it goes up and over your shoulders. So
And
it
then
could
the
be "It's the
tits.
tits." I'm just
I've
trying to make some.
actually used that adjective since I was a kid because I think I saw some '50s movie where they're like, "Oh, that car's tits."
Oh, I thought you were saying that you've used "It's the overalls" as a slogan.
So is tits up mean it's good or bad?
It means it's dead.
I think
It's
it's like a
If
word
something
of
goes
encouragement.
tits up, that means something is dead.
Are you talking about
That's-
Miss Maisel? Fabulous Miss Maisel?
Well, I don't know. I like a friend of mine would always say tits like that tits up, and so I started saying it, and I meant it as something bad. And when I said it, someone's like, "Well, that means it's good."
No, it
And
doesn't
I'm like,
mean
"Well,
that at
maybe." And
all.
I'm like, "I don't think so."
No,
No,
it means the
tits
person's
down. It
lying
went
on their
tits
back.
up.
Yeah,
Right.
that
Tits
means
down.
Well, really,
person's-
also, or when you're my age, they go off to the side.
Tits
tits
askew.
sprawl.
Right.
Tits askew.
Exactly.
No, but I think tits up is like almost like when like in Miss Maisel they use that where it's just like, okay, you're about to go on stage, tits up, like show your best side.
What?
Oh, right. Yeah. So, and
Yeah,
tits, if that
tits
went
up.
tits up to me means it got fucked up or it went sideways, right?
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
No, I mean it does. It means that because it's based upon the fact that somebody's dead and their tits are up. So that's where that comes from. It means
Did they get
whatever it
rigor
was.
mortis? Why would they? They're fat.
Well,
I
you
don't
know, let's just
understand.
say that they're smaller tits than mine.
Okay.
So, so they'll be pointing up based
Right.
upon the fact that you've fallen over dead. That's where
Right.
tits
There
up
was an
comes from.
English comic character called Sid the Sexist in this semi-underground comic magazine. Sid the Sexist. All the jokes were about what a sexist he was, and he would just go to a party and be like, "Tits out for the lads," because he's Scottish. He just tits out for the lads.
Tits out is different than tits
Tits is out is very different than
No,
tits
it's
up.
different. I just it reminded me of that. It was like how
Okay.
foul
I mean,
that
I
is.
think
If
your
went
Miss
to a
Maisel
party-
thing, I think they screwed up on their idiom. It should be tits out for that, not tits up.
No, tits up is like break a leg. Which
No, it's
is
not.
a
It's not
pleasant
that,
thing.
Greg. It's not that
No,
at
that's
all.
how they say it in the show.
That's what I'm
Well,
saying.
maybe it's one of
I'm
those
saying
things
that
like
the-
fat or sick, where it's evolved,
Yeah.
or it means things like sometimes it's bad.
or
sometimes-
homage
bad?
because people just don't know how to use the
Homage.
thing correctly.
No, that's
Well, I think
different.
the Miss Maisel people do their research.
No, I'm thinking that they screwed up and that they've changed it. But here, I'm just going straight to the
Here we go
internet.
again.
And
Yes.
tits
Urban
up
Dictionary?
it means broken, failed, inoperable, or dead. That's what it means. So
Okay.
I know
Right.
that I
So
wasn't
me and
wrong
my
about
friend use it
this.
correctly. I feel
Yes.
slightly
Yeah.
validated.
If something goes
But I
tits
like
up, it
tits
means
up
it
in the other
fails
way.
completely.
I like it like walk out there proud, tits up.
Yeah,
Maybe
Mrs.
tits-
Maisel is using it incorrectly.
Tits out
I
would
think
be the
it's like
proud.
Break a leg is not a positive thing. You wouldn't wish your friend to break a leg, but that's a show business.
Well,
thing.
maybe
I know, but
that's-
break a leg doesn't come from actually breaking your leg, though, Greg.
Exactly.
It's
Tits
a.
up.
It's no. I'm saying that the leg they're
literally,
talking about
but
is not a literal leg. It's about something else.
Yeah, and the tits are a literal thing.
No, it
It's
is a
just-
literal thing
put
with
your chin
tits up.
It's like saying
Oh.
put your chin up. Put
Yeah,
your
that's
chin
a
up.
literal thing too. By actually putting your chin up, that's where it came from.
As
The
opposed
breaking
to-
leg doesn't have
Yeah.
to do with an actual leg when it was created.
What is it? What does break a leg come from?
Oh, do you want me to get back to the dictionary? Do you? All right, fine.
Oh, well, if you're gonna find some bullshit internet thing, I don't know. I don't care. If you actually had
Some
a real
bullshit
dictionary,
internet thing like the dictionary. That's the bullshit internet thing.
yeah, you
Right.
can.
But I thought it was more of the stereotype. Like you didn't want to say good luck because that was jinxing somebody by mistake. So they kind of said the opposite.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So tits up is like,
I'm trying to see if I can find it.
but it does have a secondary meaning. Tits up. It just sounds like
I
positive.
know I knew the break a leg origin at one point, but those brain cells went away.
Yeah, so the edge, it's called breaking the leg line. So the edge of a stage just beyond the vantage point of the audience forms a line, imaginary or actually marked, that can be referred to as the leg line, named after a type of concealing staged curtain, a leg. So for an unpaid standby performer to cross or break this line would mean that the performer was getting an opportunity to go on stage and be paid. Therefore, break a leg might have
Oh.
shifted from a specific hope for this outcome to a general hope for any performer's good fortune. So,
There we go.
but it has turned into the concept of good luck, like don't actually break a leg on the opposite. It's like, not saying the name of Macbeth because it's a superstitious thing within the
Yeah.
acting profession.
That's stupid. Actors are dumb. Okay, I'm looking at tits up right now, and it
Yes.
says because during Shakespeare's time, when the actors wanted to get a big applause, they would reveal their nipples to the crowd.
I knew something was coming.
That would be tits out.
Like the
Not
day that Greg
unless
actually
you
does
like-
any research while we're talking is the day that we'll quit.
Or
the
before we're
podcast.
Yeah.
talking, or weeks before we're talking.
Right. I know Greg's your what's the word? Technology is primitive enough that you don't.
I'm the
Yes.
designated hitter.
But he's still trying to work out the abacus.
Right.
I don't know how to use an abacus.
That's what I said. You're still trying to work it out.
That's
Yeah.
hard. I don't think I've
No,
ever.
but I could use a calculator from Texas Instruments.
Oh,
The technology, that's easier.
it's
than
a
an abacus.
different TI than the rapper. Thank you
Is
for
it
that moment of
TI?
silence.
I thought
Yeah,
it was like
rapper
tits.
and-
I was thinking like tits in.
Tits in.
Like, what was that? That was my first instinct was to be like, what's the I stand for? Because
In
it's
case
clearly
anyone-
tits at this point.
In case anybody has forgotten, the client for today is tits out. So,
Into a karaoke singer's mouth.
Right there you go.
Thank you for that graphic, Greg. So anyway, the client actually today, in case you didn't know, is the Orchestra of Evil and Emptiness. That was the client for today. We have we've definitely moved into and extended past a
We have like a 2-hour episode.
well, this is a two-parter. This was done deliberately because next week I'm going to be on the coast running a karaoke show. So we're not having a live stream next week. So half of this will be airing next week. So you get 2 weeks to be on our show, Kris.
Great. The number of distractions and rabbit holes that we've gone down.
that never happens.
Matt is like a blind lemon bracci because he's like an itinerant bluesman, but he's an itinerant KJ. He just wanders the countryside.
Looking for places.
Hey, does anybody need a KJ? I'll try.
No, I don't have that much energy. See, I don't actually go looking for gigs, Greg.
But you're an itinerant.
They kind of
KJ.
fall around me. Somebody will say I need somebody. I'll go, oh, if you're interested, I'll.
Yeah, that's what itinerant bluesmen did.
But I don't go knocking on doors.
There's a gig. That's what they did.
You need to come to America's Toque and sing karaoke.
America's Attic.
Yeah, exactly.
You're America's Attic.
America's, yeah.
America's crawl space, Canada.
Crawl space. I guess attic crawl space, yeah.
Although the landmass of Canada is bigger than the United States, Greg, in case you didn't know. So
also,
really
fun fact, I'm south of you.
All right, Toronto is south of Portland?
Yeah, seriously?
Yeah, seriously.
So wait, there's a curve in Canada, the border?
Yeah, think about how the U.S. is like. Well, it's gonna be backwards.
It was a total straight line.
It goes down.
It's absolutely straight. It was worked that way by.
Think of Maine,
cavemen,
and then it goes down, and then it kind of goes back up again in Washington. It's a little bit of a down.
Flat earther shit. You're like.
And I'm very south. I'm in very South Ontario, right? I'm right by Niagara Falls. You're kind of stomping grounds, right? So if you look at it that way,
I thought basically I was on the same.
No, not a lot south of you. I think I'm even with like Eugene or something like that, or close. But no, I am legit. I am south of.
Yeah, it's got nothing to do with biscuits, Greg. I don't know why you're talking about biscuits at all.
Biscuits.
You said biscuits. I don't know why you said that.
I did not say biscuits. I always thought like I was on the same latitude as like my mom in New York. Because now we're north of New York City. I always thought like I didn't know we were more north.
Did you ever look at a map to confirm it?
No, I just
exactly.
I know America.
It's just a feeling.
I feel south.
I guess yeah. Confusing now. Now I'm confused. I don't like being confused.
But it's a constant state, Greg. So
I know that's why I don't like it. 98% of the time I'm confused by things and stuff.
Stuff and things.
Yeah.
I would like to say though,
yes.
I would like to Mr. What was his name? Miyazaki, the creator of karaoke.
Yeah, the creator of karaoke.
No, not Miyazaki. That was a cartoonist.
That was the Karate Kid guy.
God,
Mr. Miyagi.
That was Pat Morita.
I would like to thank Pat Morita for inventing karaoke. Because it has given me someone like loser like me who doesn't have anything in his life. It's something I still look forward to. I love karaoke. It is this haven for like weirdos and losers. There's a lot of losers in karaoke. There's like people on the spectrum who come to karaoke every week.
Oh, yeah,
they're like they can barely function in the real world.
And it is, yeah.
They're like on there's guys at karaoke at my bar who come every week. They haven't worked a day in their lives since they were 20 because they're like, oh, I have some nebulous, health condition. Even though they're drinking and dancing and singing every week, they're total bizarre guys, like 40-year-old virgins, 50-year-old virgins. Anyone can do karaoke.
You're sounding incredibly judgmental right now, Greg.
I'm sorry. Some of these guys are weirdos. And I'm a weirdo. You know me. I'm a fucking weirdo. But these people are like, how do you live? Like, where the fuck do you come from? And yet you're still here and you're accepted.
Do you ever ask them those questions? Like, where the fuck you come from and why are you here?
A little more diplomatically. I'm like,
really?
I talk to them and I'm like, So you haven't worked in 30 years and you have more money than I do.
It's called an old on-the-job injury, probably.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah. And also same thing, like every state I'd go into, like you kind of know what to expect. You walk into a bar, it doesn't matter what state you're in. You can just sit down at the bar. People are going to be, for the most part, like people are going to be friendly. Like they're going to be supportive. You're going to sing a song, they're going to clap. Another person's going to sing a song, they're going to clap. And that's like your family for the night. And then then I just go on to a different place. And yeah, when I got here, I'm like, well, I got to start finding karaoke. And it's just like, again, people are really nice, and it's true. It's all different people, and yeah, people that wouldn't normally be friends. It's love. Yeah, it's great.
I remember my first couple of years doing karaoke. I was very antisocial. It's like I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want anybody to talk to me. I just want to go up, sing the song, sit down, drink the drink that I was drinking, and get the fuck out. And I wasn't there to socialize. It was just like I wanted to be able to sing with a sound system for whatever reason. I don't know if it's a narcissistic thing or what, but occasionally someone would sit at my table and like talk to me, and I'd talk to anybody who'd come up and talk to me, but I would never go out of my way to have conversations with people. And I found that karaoke became very good for my personality. In other words, kind of getting me a little more social towards people and a little more willing to accept other people's foibles and what have you. But, I had so much judgment in my soul that I would push towards other. Not that that's not evident nearly on a weekly basis on the podcast.
I was going to say, and how have you changed over time?
Well, the bars you worked at.
Thank you for joining in, Kris.
The bars you worked at, you needed that, man. I'm glad you had that judgment, because you had some jackass, skeevy weirdos be regulars at your shows. And then on top of that, these were like people that anyone else would just written off. And you'd be driving them, you'd be giving them rides home at the end of the night. Like, really, like, even me, who's just like, I'm a scumbag. I'm like beneath anyone's notice. I would be like, no, fuck you. You're a weirdo. Get away from me. I'm not driving you home.
If I had a car. But you don't drive.
I was going to say,
and not only that, you're too drunk by the end of the night to drive anybody anywhere anyway.
Which is why he doesn't have a car.
That's right.
Because he knows himself enough to like not want to even try.
That has stopped a lot of my friends from driving. I have a lot of my friends who are way more responsible than me. They have kids. They're rich. They drive home drunk all the time. They're just like, I'm fine.
Well, what I want to say is that if people want to buy Kris's book, and I recommend you should, it's actually quite a fascinating read. There's a lot of interesting stories that we didn't get to at all.
Yeah,
but again,
I even have it next to me. I can show it to people. Although it's probably going to be backwards, right?
I have it here too.
Hey, look
One
at
Nation
that.
Under Song.
Greg, where's your copy?
Yeah, Greg.
Do you want me to get it?
No, it's all good. I know you have one.
He didn't know you were coming. Anyway, the song, the book, once again, is called One Nation Under Song by Kris Gowen, Gowen. You can get it on Amazon. Do you actually have it like an Audible version? Is there?
I don't. People have asked me that, and I think if I tried to read it, I would just have to keep starting over because I'd probably mess it up all the time.
You could edit that. There's editing features.
I know, but that would require
learning editing software.
Would it be where you could
Greg always likes to get other people work with technology that he's unwilling to do.
Right, exactly. And I'm a little neophyte that way.
Very easily, but how great would it be if every night, because I read the whole book, and it was like you talk about the song you sang, and you could sing a verse and a chorus of every song.
There you go.
You break out in a song.
In a cappella. Although the book doesn't have lyrics in it because that is one of the things that people will ding you on copyright. So you can't actually put lyrics. So that
in fair use.
That's
rigid.
True.
Not for song lyrics. Yeah,
really?
I looked. Yeah, I looked into it with the publisher of this book. And because a lot of times I would want to put the song, because I would sing a song. So I wrote the book about when my best friend died and I quit my job, and to grieve, I drove around the country to sing karaoke as an emotional outlet for myself. Both the driving and the singing were great for my like emotional state. And so a lot of the songs I would sing, even though they wouldn't be devastatingly sad, but they'd be a song that would have a lyric in it that really was calling to me at a certain state or a certain time. and I would put those lyrics into the book in the original draft, and like the publisher's like, you cannot do this. You just can't. You would have to get permission. You would have to get this. So we wrote around that.
So you can even do like a couple of words.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I got to say though, Kris, that was the most moving part of your book. It's just the healing thing. It was like, I gotta say, it's not a feel good book. It was sad because
my best friend had died.
The most moving part of it, Greg, was her driving. That's where all the moving took place.
No, you think it's like, wow, you're singing karaoke and you're a big fan, and then I was like, it's got a lot of depth to it where it's like, because everything reminds you of your friend. Like sometimes you're at a bar, nobody's singing anything that she liked, but her favorite sports team is playing, and it reminds you of her, and it's just like it's pretty moving and kind of. I was very sad reading the book.
I'm sorry I made you sad.
I wasn't sad. So
yeah, I didn't think you'd be sad.
But that's because I am emotionally heartless. So
I
appreciated her going through like the plain states and listening to the agricultural AM stations. That's what I appreciated.
Yeah, I love doing that. This is really interesting. Yeah, again, like driving across the United States too. Like you just learn so much about every place. I mean. It's really you just remember how completely different every state is in the US, where you can't sit there and be like, oh, you live in the United States. It's like, well, where? And it matters, right? Like a bar where everyone's wearing a Confederate flag. I'm listening to people reading the want ads in a rural area, like in the, like in the north central US or whatever, right? The agricultural stuff.
Yeah. So buy her damn book, everybody.
Buy my book.
It's also written during like the rise of Trump too, where there's all these like.
Yeah, it was. I did this in the summer of 2016. I think it was the only person in Portland who was not surprised that Trump won. Because I had just finished driving around the United States. I'm like, oh, this is not looking good.
Yeah, it was kind of like a foreseen conclusion, I think. All right, well, this could go on to a three-parter. We're not going to do that, but I want to thank Kris Gowen very, very much for coming on as a surprise guest. Greg had no idea this was happening.
I was very surprised.
It was done literally like 20 minutes before the show started is how it happened, Greg.
And literally, I asked because I was like, we don't have a guest tonight. We haven't had guests for a while.
I lied to him.
Yeah, well, because I texted Matt. I was like, "What time do you guys go live?" Because I was just going to listen to you because like I said, my date canceled on me, and then Matt's like, "Well, do you want to be a guest?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I got nothing else to do."
Yeah, it was like all the planets kind of aligned because I wasn't even going to do a two-parter, and then this gig came up in Manzanita, which is on the Oregon coast, and I'm like, well, the one way and it's next Wednesday, so I'm like, well, one way I could make this happen is if I make this show the two-parter, and since it's going to be, we had already decided like yesterday, the day before, it was going to be about karaoke. I went, well, that's perfect. Right. And then you out of the blue contact me about when this is happening. I'm like, wow, this is so weird. Like all of these things have made it possible for this karaoke show to happen. What's that, Greg?
Your dick canceled.
My dick canceled.
Her dick.
My dick.
Oh.
My dick canceled.
She's dating a detective. That's what he's talking about.
Yes.
Anyway,
exactly.
All right. Well, this has been The Client, the Orchestra of Evil and Emptiness, which is, karaoke. And our guest has been Kris Gowen, the author of One Nation Under Song. I want to say thank you, everybody, much for listening who's come this far. Right now, we have no one paying attention to us on TikTok, and I believe we have no one paying attention to us on YouTube either.
Good.
Let me just confirm. No, we have one person watching on YouTube, so that's probably Shanty in North Dakota. So hello to the guys
Shanty.
From the Happy Hour News team.
Or Sanchez.
And this has been the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker.
Your consultation with the Law Offices of Quibble, Squabble, and Bicker has ended. You may pay your retainer at www.qsblaw.org. Please exit to the right of the water cooler and grab a candy from the front desk. We hope to see you again soon, but you need to leave now. I said leave. Why don't they ever listen? Get out! Get out!